Welcome to Primetime Super Friends, the show that promises to put the arrow in your quiver, the bat in your belfry, and the flash in your pan. I'm Michael, your guru for all things Central City, and I'm joined, as always, by my very own Super Friends. First, we have our expert on our journey through Gotham, John.
Yeah, hoy hoy.
Next up, we have our guide to Star City, Jeremy.
Hey.
If this is your first time listening and don't want any of these shows spoiled for you, you can go ahead and hit the stop button and go kick rocks.
And then come back and listen.
And fuck yourself.
What?
Super Friends, the legendary superpower show.
All right, let's get this party started with Arrow.
So, this week's episode of Arrow focused around the fact that Oliver Arrow was not the first vigilante in Star City. We've seen him for the last few episodes. Laurel's training with a guy named Ted Grant. Well, it turns out he used to be a vigilante. They don't say the name during this episode of Arrow, but if you know your comic books or if you do the research, he was a character called Wildcat.
Boom. Yeah.
John got it right. Woohoo! Awesome.
Anyway, years earlier, I think they said 5 or 6 years earlier, he had been a vigilante. And this episode focuses around Ted Grant and his former, I guess, apprentice, partner, whatever you want to call it. We find out he's essentially trying to set Ted up to look like he's killing a bunch of folks. See some people strung up with the word guilty spelled out in blood underneath of them. And it turns out to be this guy. Early parts of the episode focus on Arrow hunting down Ted, thinking that he's the one that's committing these crimes, and then ultimately he ends up assisting in the investigation. So, and I don't remember this character from the comics, if this was actually a real person or not, but apparently this guy's name is Isaac, his former partner. We also, our kind of subplot for the episode revolves around Roy. We'd seen last week where he had the flashbacks, dreams, whatever you want to call it, where he may have killed Sarah. So he tells Felicity that I'm having these dreams that I might have killed Sarah, and he wants to be checked to see if he's still got the Mirakuru in him that Deathstroke had injected him with during season 2. Felicity runs tests. Everything comes back clean. He's completely negative for it. Our Hong Kong flashbacks this week revolved around, early on we see a chase between Oliver and some Asian guy he's trying to chase down. And dude sort of gets away, gets hit by a car and dies. But they're not able to find the message that he was trying to retrieve from him. And our flashbacks this week revolve around Oliver essentially trying to remember what happened to that message. We also, based on the fact that Oliver now knows that Laurel's been training with Ted, we've got several scenes involving the tension between the two of them over Oliver not wanting Laurel to train with someone that he feels is dangerous. Okay, I don't know if you guys caught this, but there's a scene where he's trying to catch Ted early on in the episode, and Arrow actually sticks a boxing glove on the end of his arrow, knocks the motherfucker out with it.
You got knocked the fuck out!
Pure comic book, just
straight
nut
up,
moment.
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. The pure nut moment. And actually, Stephen and Mel put something on Facebook, I think it was today or yesterday, showing a side-by-side of comic book Arrow with the boxing glove, and then a screen capture from this past episode. So
Nice.
This dude's all over social media.
Yeah.
You got a Facebook too?
Oh, yeah. He's more active on Facebook than on Twitter, actually, by far.
He's just
Oh, wow.
vocal in general about everything.
Yeah.
I mean, interviews, whatever. I mean, like, it's all about the character. You gotta love that.
Yeah. So they finally catch this Isaac guy. They finally catch him. He's got Ted and Laurel in a car trying to force them to drive somewhere when Arrow and Roy catch up. Roy actually ends up saving the day despite whatever's going on with him. Takes him down while Oliver saves Laurel, and there's a cool explosion behind them as he pulls her out of the burning car.
Did he put sunglasses on afterward?
No, but it was obvious that they knew exactly what they were doing.
Right.
This is that moment that we'll put it in the trailer or the opening credits next season. You know, when Roy takes this guy down, he kind of tells him like, "Hey, Arrow's just using you. You're just one of the weapons in his arsenal, blah, 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 blah." Roy tells Oliver, "Hey, you better never abandon me," despite earlier subtext with Diggle and Laurel kind of saying, "Hey, if he killed that bitch, you got to dump his ass." But he tells Roy, "I'll never abandon you." Aw. Towards the end of the episode, the name Arsenal is made official by Oliver when Roy's telling him, "Hey, this dude said I'm just another weapon in your arsenal." Well, I guess that's your name. We'll just call you Arsenal.
Boom.
So he is officially Arsenal, not Speedy, which I think we all kind of knew was the case.
What would have been like the stereotypical superhero movie line or whatever would have been like when he's like, you're just part of his arsenal, and be like, bitch, I am the arsenal.
Yeah.
You know, something along those lines.
I'm the whole fucking Arsenal.
I am the whole fucking arsenal. Dude.
Is that a wrestling thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rob Van Dam was the whole damn show.
The whole fucking show. Yeah. Very end of the episode, to tie into the meditation aspect of the Hong Kong chases, and that's how he tracks down this message. He meditates, realizes he saw where this dude dropped the message. So he has Roy sit down and meditate to remember why he's having these flashbacks, basically. And it flashes back to season 2, when Roy shoved an arrow into a cop and killed him, and while he was on Mirakuru. So Roy freaks out. Oh, I didn't kill Sarah, but I'm a fucking murderer, and storms out. And then our last scene for this week essentially is going to tie into our villain of the week next week. The guy that they just caught, Isaac, is being taken out of the back of the police station, presumably to be transferred or whatever. And Chick shows up with an arrow drawn. He says, "Who are you?" "I'm Cupid, stupid." Releases arrow, black. See you next week.
Good episode.
Very comic book oriented episode. Very much just, they didn't shy away from it this week like they do sometimes.
That's what I like, though. Like, I like that it's following a path. Like, they feel confident enough in the foundation that they've built to take it there.
Yeah. There was no Thea in this episode. None of that subplot was there at all. I thought that was kind of interesting, but...
Nah, you need those bridge episodes. I mean, we're not even halfway through the season, so they've got to prolong somehow, right?
Yeah, fair enough. Anywho, Arrow was pretty good this week. Next up, Michael's going to talk to us about this week's episode of The Flash.
Okay, so this week on The Flash, we have a scene where Barry's getting to hang out with both of his groups of friends. We have Iris, Eddie, and Team Star Labs, Caitlin and Cisco, all hanging out. While they're hanging out, Iris and Eddie are pretty much ignoring Caitlin and Cisco. While all that's going on, I mean, it's pretty... not the big part of it. The big part is Barry can't get drunk anymore because of his metabolism.
I can't feel anything.
Yeah, that's usually what happens when you drink too much.
No, the alcohol is not affecting me. I mean, I literally feel nothing.
It's your hypermetabolism. I need a sample.
I'll get more shots.
I swear I had a vacuum in here.
Wait, you carry a blood collection kit in your purse?
You have your hobbies.
That is worse than any superhero, I don't know, downfall that I can think of.
Whatever. I would make money off of that. I will drink you under the table, son, and then I'll get you home very quickly so you're safe.
Oh, you took it
And
nice
fucked.
I assume because you got to get the person with bravado to do that. Like, you're winning bets. It's making money.
Oh, I just assumed we were getting girls drunk and banging them.
No,
quickly.
That's not okay, Jeremy. You should never do that.
That's totally okay, and that's exactly what I would do if I were Flash.
I got mines and run.
So fast you didn't even see me.
9
DNA
months
doesn't mean
later.
anything.
That's what I want to watch, that Flash.
Instead, you just get some guy.
That could be an Elseworld story.
Perfect. The other side of town, we have our first glimpse of the villain of the week. Got a chick who's inside stealing a bunch of stuff, and when she's caught, she throws an explosive backpack to make her escape. Cisco and Caitlin try to figure out how fast Barry'd have to run to go save there was a window washer that was at the same building. When Barry successfully saves the dude, he winds up coming face to face with Iris while wearing his Flash suit.
Coming,
of
face
course.
to face.
Hey,
That's what he wants to do.
You just told me that superheroes can't do that. Which is it?
you
I
fucking
didn't say
hypocrite.
they can't do it. I'm just saying you don't do that. That is not very super or heroic.
Yeah, it's pretty super.
We find out that the Army is actually going to start taking over the case of the whole bombing incident. And back at Star Labs, Barry tells the crew about the Army taking over, and Dr. Harrison Wells reveals that he knows the general in charge. But apparently, Dr. Wells worked with that dude in the past on a super soldier or an enhanced soldier project. Cisco was able to track down the person that caused the explosion. When Barry meets her name is Betty. When he goes up to talk to her, she accidentally touches his suit, which she says that he might want to get out of.
Get whatever you're wearing off of you.
me.
Tries to get him naked.
What?
What a whore.
As Barry takes off down the alley, he manages to get out of it just in time before it explodes. Man, there's a lot of coming innuendos.
Innuendo.
Innuendo.
She was pretty hot. I'd have nuded up with her on the first meet, too.
Did you say nuded up or neutered up?
Nuded.
I thought that you said neutered.
Nuded.
I was like, that's weird.
Neuter the Flash.
Not neutering me. I don't give a damn about the Flash.
Well, according to Jeremy, with the way that his persona of the Flash would be, he might need to be neutered.
I would take that name very seriously, and I'd show my dick all around town.
That would get you arrested if you could be caught.
But I couldn't be.
You do that, you just paint it red, please.
So it just looks like a... Oh, no.
You know how I'll paint it red, right?
No.
Dipping it? Dipping it?
No. Start reading.
Period.
Start reading.
Oh, that's nasty.
Joe wants Barry to convince Iris to stop looking into the streak, stop her blog, but of course she wants no part of that.
She can't stop looking into the street because she's going to fuck him eventually.
Oh, eventually.
Yeah.
They find out that Betty is targeting a military doctor that experimented on her previously and that the general and his crew are en route. Barry rushes to the scene just in time to see Betty take a bullet to the arm. And then Barry and Betty make their escape. Back at Star Labs, Dr. Wells and company explain the entire thing to Betty about the particle accelerator explosion, how it created all the metahumans. She tells them that she had just returned from Afghanistan where she was defusing bombs and one managed to go off nearby and fill her with shrapnel. So they figure out that's how she got her powers.
Via insertion.
The shrapnel inside of her.
I just hear that Inside of You song that Russell Brand sung in Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Inside you, inside you.
This went from 6 to midnight.
Teach me how to grow while I'm moving inside of you. Inside of you. Inside of you. I long to be, is it wrong to be inside of you? Inside of you, the restless find the dreams. Inside of you, this king has found his queen.
God, I haven't watched that in forever. Cisco and Caitlin begin to test Betty's powers, and he comes up with the oh-so-clever name of Plastique for her. Once again, Joe calls Barry, trying to get him to tell Iris to let the streak go, which gives Barry an idea. As Iris is closing up the cafe, someone enters, and of course, it's none other than Barry as the Streak. He covers up his voice and asks her to stop writing about him. Iris tries to ask questions, and he dodges them all. Lets her know that he doesn't do what he does for recognition. Meanwhile, at Star, once again, Betty and Dr. Wells are talking about her abilities. He relates to her because the accident that created her put him in this chair. Bullshit. In a last desperate attempt, he coerces her into killing the general.
In like a really creepy way, too.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell she knew something was up. And not up her vagina.
Like everything else.
Yeah.
The next day, Barry meets up with Cisco and Caitlin.
Caitlin. I'd like to go there.
And ask about Betty, who they reveal has
Go
left.
down the waterfall.
She has been surrounded by the general and his posse, and they know she isn't planning on surrendering. Barry races to the scene and arrives just after Betty has thrown some explosive ping pong balls at the soldiers. But he wasn't fast enough as the general shoots Betty right in the chest. With her dying breath, Betty tries to tell Barry that Dr. Wells put her up to it, but that...
She can't get it all out.
She can't get it out.
Not before she explodes.
Yep, her body explodes. Causes the explosion out of the way. Barry figures he needs to run on the water. Of course, Wells and Cisco do some calculations, figure out just how fast he needs to go, which ends up being pretty fucking fast. He takes off across the water, bumps Betty's body in the open sea, and books it back to Central City as her body's explosion sends waves all the way back to the city.
You can walk on water. Puts you in pretty interesting company.
The general covers up the incident as military testing, leaving Barry sick that the fool got away with a murder. He goes to the West House and tries to convince Iris to knock it off once again. They argue a little bit, and the pair decides not to see each other for a while. and Barry leaves to meet up with Caitlin and Cisco at the bar, where Caitlin reveals she's created some super alcohol just for Barry.
I want some. I want some so bad.
It's got to be like concentrated.
You just smell it and you're just, woo!
Put like a dropper or something, like 2 drops will get you to wasted.
Instant alcohol poisoning.
Right.
They toast to Betty's memory, and Barry gets fucked up or buzzed. Meanwhile, back at Star Labs, we have we end the show with what's Dr. Wells up to, where his name is General Eileen, pays a visit where he tries to convince him to partner up with him once again, because clearly Dr. Wells knows what he's doing. They exchange threats back and forth before the general departs, and we see a flashback to 5 years ago where the two were arguing again. Yeah, the two bicker over the treatment of one of their experiments. As the general leaves, Wells enters a room and speaks to the subject they were talking about, a caged gorilla who, of course, is named Grodd.
Awesome.
Then you see Wells tells him that he has a whole different future in mind for him. That's going to do it for The Flash this week. Next up, John's going to share Gotham.
All right, so this week we dealt with a lot of the fallout from last week's episode, The Penguin's Umbrella. I thought it was interesting to see the rest of the police force react to that and the turmoil and the tension that Gordon caused concerning himself and Gotham's crime families. It's kind of, we get to see the dynamic of Jim getting into trouble and nobody really coming to aid him, which says something about the corruption that has kind of run rampant in the force. So, I actually felt like that part, Jim Gordon's story, kind of took a backseat to a lot of the cooler moments of the show this week. So I'll come back to that a little bit later. But
there were at least 2 come in my pants moments this week. I'm just
really?
Say that.
Oh, I'd like to know what they are, but I kind of don't want to know.
No, you want to know.
But I'll move forward ahead just a little bit. Kind of the background story for this was we saw there was like an office fight club going on.
The first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club. The second rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
It was run by Richard Sionis.
And that was one of them, Sionis.
Yeah, so, obviously, there's got to be some kind of relation to Roman Sionis, who...
Assuming it's his dad or uncle or something.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping it's not his dad. I think that's too much of, like, a go-to. I'd like to see, maybe a younger brother or something along those lines.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Roman Sionis is Black Mask, which this family apparently has an affinity for masks. Black Mask is definitely a lot cooler than
they just don't want to be white.
Mask. So, he's got this office fight club, which will come into play quite a bit later. We get a lot more of the penguin/fish rivalry. It's kind of the same old spiel. We're seeing what's going on behind the scenes of these mob families and what they're doing to secure certain position within it. I don't know. I felt like, to me... Oh, go ahead.
That nasty bitch licked his blood off of that fucking knife or whatever it was. What the fuck?
Sexy.
Well, the thing is I'm okay with these background characters. That's fine. I just to me it feels like the weakest part of the show at this point.
She licked his fucking blood.
Well, it's to show she's vicious. I don't know, the last few weeks, she has not gotten on my nerves nearly as much as she did in the beginning.
Because she's barely been in it.
Yep.
That's probably a lot. Yeah, a lot of it.
That creepy ass scene with the mom too. I don't know.
Yeah, that was. Okay, so their story basically subjugates that the Penguin is trying to figure out what she's up to. He interrogates the guy that was in his old position within her ranks, leading to some slight information that she's got someone on the inside in Falcone's family. We see her dealing...
sexy.
We see her dealing with her planted mole, so to speak, finding out information. Which, did you guys feel like that she's feeling guilty about drugging Falcone because she has feelings for him, or just that she's afraid something's going to happen?
Afraid something's going to happen.
I figured it was more, not necessarily romantic feelings, but this old dude is like my fucking grandpa or something.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
It's not a romantic thing.
But maybe it is, and if it is, good for him.
I kind of
tap that ass.
I actually think that might be one of the more interesting plot points in it. But she still gives the information to Mooney as to what she wanted, which was some ledgers and some runnings of their mob setup. But again, to me, this part of the story still seems like the flattest at the moment. I don't know. I'd like to see some more development there, or at least something more interesting. Barbara Gordon, or, well, what's her name? Barbara. Barbara. We'll just go with Barbara. Is, to me, at this point, has taken the position of the most annoying character on the show for me, more so than Fish Mooney, which is different from earlier. She begs to be let into Jim's world, gets in Jim's world, and then leaves him.
So that he can fuck his boss, right? I mean, we all see that coming.
The boss, really?
Well, her last name is Essen.
Oh, well, that makes
and
sense
if you
then.
put that together from year one,
okay,
Batman comics.
Hmm.
Yep.
I didn't even put that together.
Where that's
How come
headed.
you catch so much shit from this show?
Well, I mean, let's face it. Jeremy is the Batman encyclopedia. Yeah. I don't know. That character needs to go away for a very long time. They're just not writing it well enough to bother to spend any more time with it.
She's going to show up pregnant and catch him fucking that bitch.
Yeah, that could happen.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You see what I'm getting at, though, right? Like the black chick, Essen, or I can't remember her first name. She's just starting to stick up for him and stuff.
Oh, yeah. She's definitely turning the corner, which I thought was funny because at first she's just like, I've said in previous episodes, to me she's like the worst cop in the world. They explain everything to her, you know, and now they're starting to kind of...
But she probably takes a good dick.
But does she suck a good dick?
You'll have to ask her next time you see her. I don't know. You know, I mean, I guess to sum it up, I'm going to save the Bruce stuff for last because that to me was the most compelling part of the episode. We see, you know, basically Gordon finds himself in the middle of danger again. He gets caught in this fight club thing that Sionis has set up, and he offers the guys that are in the, you know, room with him $1 million if they can take him down, kill him. I thought there was more character development, more kind of establishing why Gordon and Bullock work so well together in this episode than there's been in a little bit, which was cool to see him finally stick up for him, and he rallied the troops, basically calling it the rest of the police department.
Pussies.
Yeah, because they didn't stand up for him, you know, in the previous episode, and he rallied the troops to go help out their fellow police officer, which was good to see. I still maintain Donald Logue, if they give him enough screen time, is probably going to wind up stealing the show. I don't know.
An awesome job.
Exactly. You root for him, even though you know he's corrupt.
Especially when he gets just that goat episode.
He gets to play around more with his role too, I think. Whereas the guy playing Gordon can't fuck.
Yeah. It's the straight man, you know, character. Basically, we see Gordon take out everybody. So really rallying the troops didn't do a whole lot.
Knocks everybody out single-handedly.
You know, I would have liked to have seen more of maybe them saving the day to develop this kind of relationship.
It's the thought that counts, John.
Well, I mean, I'm still good by it. I thought this episode was good.
They're going to have a fucking three-way or something. Bullock and Essen and Gordon.
I don't prefer to see that.
I don't either.
You know, but...
hopefully they don't mix in that fat prostitute from last week.
Okay, what did you guys think about, like, the weird... what did you think about the weird, like, you know, they kept cutting to, like, the room full of people watching this fight go down and everybody rooting for Gordon's death? It reminded me a lot of, what's that movie? The Purge and all that, where it's like you have the people that are like, yeah, people die. I'm like, we just have a room full of psychos here? I mean, that's really jacked up.
It is Gotham.
Yeah.
It is Gotham, but I don't know. That just seemed like a little strange to me, I guess. Either way, you know, it all ends well.
I can't say I wouldn't be one of the people like, yeah, kill that motherfucker.
Right. Exciting.
Especially because it's a cop. Fuck the police.
Fuck the police coming straight from the underground.
Fuck them.
Fuck the police.
I'm a little worried you guys are serious right now.
Then you might want to go on.
Fuck the police.
All right, moving on.
I was like, I'm not backing off.
So, rounding things out, we did get a few moments with, you know, Kat. And we saw her stealing some fur coats for our roll your eyes moment of the week. Not that was the only one, but that was the one that really stood out. She pops up at the end when everything's in resolved, where, you know, Gordon basically spells out to Bullock, I'm still going to take down all the corrupt police officers. You know, just because everybody had my back doesn't mean that I'm going to look the other way. Thought that was good. She shows up in his, you know, at his desk at the end saying, hey, bet you're surprised to see me, basically. And we get kind of, that was the end of that story. So that was interesting to see. I'm going to turn the attention, though, to Bruce, as I kept saying I would do at the end. I really liked the story this week. Number one, he got out of the house and he went to school. So that was
About
promising.
goddamn time. Learn something, man.
One-room mansion that he has or whatever. And we get to see a little bit, and this was probably my favorite Easter egg so far. We basically see a group of kids come up and confront him about, which to me was realistic in the way that there are kids that would do that. Did you see your parents die? Yeah.
Especially if you're
was there
a rich
blood?
kid.
Did you see all that? Oh man, that's messed up. And we were introduced to the character of his name just slipped my mind.
Tommy Elliott.
Tommy Elliott, who, if you don't know, is Jeremy.
Rush.
Yeah. Which is really cool. We kind of see the bully confrontation. And so basically, Elliot confronts Bruce in the hallway a little later on, and Bruce bitch slaps him, which is pretty funny because he literally slapped him, and
Told him not to talk about my mama.
yeah, don't talk about my mama.
You gotta do that sometimes.
Hey, Brucey.
It's Bruce. No, why?
No parents either, so I can call you what I like.
Please get out of my way.
Snobby little jerk, isn't he? For an orphan.
You're being very unkind. I don't understand why.
Boy, you're a weirdo. Your mother must have.
Don't talk about my mother.
In which case,
But he reacted like a black kid, man.
we see Bruce take a couple bumps because of the incident, and this was probably my favorite episode of Alfred.
Oh yeah,
because I mean it's Alfred sees Bruce getting in the car afterward, and he's like, "What happened?" He's like, I reacted. I hit this kid. Didn't really do any damage, and I paid for it." And Alfred's like, "Okay, we'll see about that." Drives him to the kid's house, and is like, "That's his house. This is your dad's watch. Go take care of business," which was just absolutely great. We see the confrontation where Bruce knocks on the door and just starts beating the shit out of him, which was absolutely wonderful. Tommy's sitting there, crying and yelling. He's like, "He tried to kill me." And then Alfred, delivers the line, "Remember that next time that I let him try." And just stares at the kid.
What do you want for dinner?
Right. Yeah, now let's go
I want
get something.
pizza.
He tried to kill me.
That's right. He did. He tried to kill you. Just you remember that next time you see him. And you remember, now I let him try.
Extra tomato sauce because it looks like blood.
I just absolutely loved that. I mean, it made Bruce a little badass because he used Daddy's watch as nux, basically.
It's the whole Batman mentality of like, I'm gonna win this fucking fight,
right?
fair or not.
Yeah, and we get Alfred, who's just like it ends with Bruce like, "I want to learn how to fight. Can you teach me how to fight?" And Alfred's like, "Yes." Well, you're not just this creepy kid in one room. So, good episode. That's
3 in a row for me.
Yeah, and obviously, like Tommy Elliott and Bruce Wayne have got to become friends now.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, and that's where I'm. This is the kind of stuff I've been waiting to see out of the Bruce storyline. Not I'm going to go to the Gotham board and talk about this and that. I want to see these moments of him learning along the way, or these moments that help put him into the cape and cowl.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
and
very,
the
very
Easter
good.
eggs.
And the Easter eggs. And more subtle Easter eggs. It wasn't like Tommy was wrapped up in toilet paper when he came to fight him.
It wasn't like he's talking about Bruce Wayne's mom and Bruce goes, "Shh, hush."
Right. No, not now.
I almost put my beer because I could see that fucking happening.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know that I necessarily consider the show gaining momentum, but it feels like it's finding its feet a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, 3 in a row for me that I've liked. So that's going to do it for another episode of Primetime Super Friends. If you want to find out more about the show, hit up our website, pubtalkpodcast.com. We also have a Twitter, at Primetime Super. We all do have individual Twitter accounts. I am at the African81, Jeremy,
at Legendary Jeremy,
and John,
at Raging Leprechaun.
If you like YouTube, we're there now. It's pretty awesome. Check it out. Search for Pub Talk Podcast. Speaking of Pub Talk Podcast, that's our other show. Please check it out. It's a lot funnier. I promise. All right, that's going to do it for this week. Bitches.
Suck my cock.
Na 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 na.